Welcome to Keeping It Real with KC. I am your host, KC Phoenix. And yes, last weekend I didn't put up any episodes because it was my birthday weekend last weekend, which is one reason why I'm discussing what I'm discussing today, ageism. So, yeah, before I get into that discussion, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can go to the podcast version of the show, KIRWKC.com. Again, KIRWKC.com. That will give you the podcast version of the show. Also, there are exclusive podcast only episodes that are on the podcast platform, meaning that they have not been uploaded to YouTube or Daily Motion or any other platforms. They're specifically for the podcast. For the podcast only episodes, look for the letters PCO in the title, and that will let you know that it's a podcast only episode. As for YouTube and Daily Motion, please subscribe with YouTube. Once you click the subscribe button, don't forget to click the notification bell, because once you click the notification bell, that will notify you anytime I upload videos. And then with Daily Motion, you just subscribe. As for Twitter, follow on Twitter, KIRWKC. Same thing with Instagram, KIRWKC. Very, very simple. Alrighty, now that I've got the social stuff out the way and everything else, and as for my birthday, I did have a great birthday weekend. I didn't do anything. I binge watched anime. If you follow the show on Twitter, you will notice that I retweet and like a lot of anime stuff because I love, 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 love anime. And I watch, for those who do watch anime, I watched an older one, not that much older. I think it came out 2014-ish, maybe sooner, later. It's called Tokyo Ravens, and I enjoyed watching it. Even though the ending threw me off a little bit, which I'll have to do some more research on that to figure out what's what. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. It was really cool. So that's what I did. I binge watched anime and I just relaxed. As for my age, I turned 41 last weekend. So yes, I'm 41 years old now and some change. With ageism, it made me think, because I've noticed, especially these days, age is the first thing that people who are younger like to bring up. They like to say, "Oh, you're old." As it seems to be the new form of insult. If someone is having a debate or an argument with someone, they go straight to the age. It it shocks me a little bit that that's where people go, and not that me personally, that I'm oh so hurt, if or that I would be oh so hurt, because if you watch the show, everyone knows I don't care. I'm talking about in general. It it shocks me that people would use that as an insult, as if becoming older is a bad thing. I went to school with an amazing young lady. She made great grades in school, and she was feisty, super feisty. She was feisty, and she was still cool at the same time. And later on, I found out, and by the way, after she made all of her good grades in school, she made it into college, and everything made it into a good college, university actually. And she was one of those individuals you just knew she would do amazing things. The years had passed, and she was murdered by her ex. So if she was alive, we'd be around the same age right now. There was someone else I went to school with. She was very, very shy, but a sweet girl. And I let her borrow all of my Mariah Carey CDs. And she let me borrow her Melissa Etheridge CDs. And she was just really, really cool. Cool girl. When I was in college, many years ago, this was back in 98. Was it 98 or 99? I was one of my classmates in college. Somehow, I don't know how the conversation started, but I brought up the individual's name because the individual's name related to something of that moment. When I said the individual's name, and because that name isn't a common name, they were like, wait a second, I think I know her. And I was like, really? Oh, you know how she's doing? Like, I think she's dead. I was like, no, that can't be right. And a few days later, my classmate had put the obituary on the windshield of my car and with a note saying, I hope this isn't her, but if it is, I'm sorry. And when I looked at the obituary, it was her. And the reason they knew each other, or she knew about the situation, is because my friend from high school, my classmate from high school that had died, where she worked, my college classmate worked at the same job, at the same location. And they had to make a dinner plate for the family during the wake and everything. So, and that's how she remembered. A few years ago, which is mentioned in one of my episodes, A Message for June, that individual, and I explain how that happened, also died. He was 30, 31, 32, maybe. Someone who watched after me and two other people I used to hang out with a long time ago when I lived in a different state. That individual had died. Then, this was many years ago. My cousin, who served in the military and then later on became a bouncer, he was killed in a nightclub, and I believe I've probably mentioned this before. He was killed in a nightclub just doing his job. He's not here anymore. My other cousin was killed during a bad drug deal. I had another cousin who died when I was in high school, but was very close with my mother. I have seen a lot of people come and go. And if I really sat down and thought about it, someone I would hang out with a long time ago, that person is no longer with us. You know, really cool people, funny person. He's no longer with us. A girl I worked with when I lived in another state, because I've lived in a few states. A girl I worked with, she was shot in the head while celebrating her birthday. The bullet wasn't even meant for her. She was over on the other end, but a fight broke out, and then the gun went off, and the bullet happened to hit her and kill her. Like I said, if I really sit down and think about it, I could give cases, situations, examples, whatever you want to call them, where people are not with us anymore. And when people use ageism as a bad thing, when they use it to insult others, to say, oh, you're old. First thing is, if you're lucky, you may reach their age. Some of you watching this won't live to see 41 years old if you're younger than 41. Some of you won't, because life happens. And life isn't always fair. As I've said before, the good guys don't always win and the bad guys don't always lose. And things just happen. It's part of life. And for those who are fortunate enough to reach a certain age, you ought to be happy that you made it that far, because there are a lot of people who don't. You can go online, go to duckduckgo.com and do a quick search and see what's the average, how many people die daily on planet Earth. And I'm sure it'll be some crazy number. It wouldn't surprise me if it was either, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a day. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'm just saying, you have the option to do the search. And if you did that search, you would see how many people died, but you weren't one of them. Don't take youth for granted. Because A, you may not be guaranteed a future depending on what life throws at you. And B, you won't be young forever. Now, yes, technology will evolve. And I had this conversation with my dad where I wished him a happy birthday because my dad is almost 70 years old. And I said to him, I said, well, hopefully you'll have 20 to 30 or maybe even 40 more years. And my dad was like, I don't know about that. And I said, well, you don't know what technology will come out that could change people's lifespans. You never know. Impossible things are happening every day. So I will say that there's no telling what will happen as technology continues to evolve. But for right now, until that technology is in place, you won't be young forever. And there's no guarantee that you will grow old. So instead of using ageism as an attack are using it as a negative, you should consider using age as a positive to see what people who are older may have learned throughout their experiences in life. I'm not saying older people are intelligent. I'm not saying that at all. Because there are plenty of older people who know absolutely nothing. So being older doesn't guarantee intelligence. It doesn't guarantee critical thinking. It doesn't guarantee an ability to solve problems or resolve issues or offer some type of insight into one's life. I am saying there are those out there who are older that do have that experience, that have been, what I mentioned before in one of my episodes, battle tested. For those older people who have been battle tested, who have been through many different types of situations, they have the playbook for things that you as a younger person may not have. And you can take a little and leave a little. You don't have to take 100% of what somebody gives you. You can take 10%, you can take 25%, you can take 50%. Whatever works best for your situation, that's what you can take from that individual. Take what you need and leave the rest. If all of it works, great. If half of it works, great. But there are people who exist out there who have knowledge that they can give to you because of their age. Their age allowed them to make it to the next battle. Their life was not cut short where they missed a battle. And for those who are much older, there's a chance that they've fought battles all of their life. And those are the type of people you just want to see what they know or see what they may say. And as I said before, you don't have to take anything from what they say, because the playbook that they have from the battle they fought may be a 1950s playbook, and that 50s playbook wouldn't work in 2020. But also you could take that 50s playbook and make some alterations to it and upgrade it, and then use that to help you in your next battle going forward. But if you already walk into a situation where it's like, oh, they're old, there isn't anything they can tell me, there isn't anything that they know, they're to be discarded because they're old, they're irrelevant because they're old or older, because old is subjective. To some people, 30 years old is old. To some people, 40 years old is old. To some people, 50 years old is old. I said to my mother, who's in her 60s, I was like, really, you're not that old. I consider old when you're knocking on the door of close to 100. That's just me. You're older, but old. So yeah, but in today's society, especially with younger people, they say, oh, well, 40 years old is old. But how much information do some of these 40-year-olds have out here? Again, not all people who are older have information, because not all people have been battle tested throughout their life. There's a higher chance the older they are, the more battle tested they could be, but it's not guaranteed. But you won't know that unless you at least show a respect and an appreciation that they were able to make it this far. Because there are many people who did not make it this far. There are many people who didn't make it to 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. My grandparents lived in their 80s. So I always got information from them. And it was interesting. Just like my granny, she was in her district, she was the first black school bus driver. My granny, well, actually, all my grandparents, they all picked cotton. My dad picked cotton. So, and you learn certain things. I know my dad is battle tested. Do I agree with everything my dad says? No. Do I agree with everything my mother says? No. But I know they're battle tested. And I respect the battles that they have been through. I respect their age. Even when they get on my nerves sometimes, I still respect what my parents have been through. And I respect what my grandparents, even though my grandparents are no longer with me anymore, I respect what they've been through and how they feel about certain situations and how they felt about certain situations, because they did have good information to give, especially my granny. She was hilarious. I would visit her a lot. So this particular episode is just to say, instead of using ageism as a negative, you don't have to necessarily use it as a positive. I would say just have some curiosity. It's a good thing when people are older and they make it to an older age. But as I said before, not everyone is battle tested, regardless of their age. But it doesn't hurt to have a little curiosity just to see if they're battle tested and to find out if there's something that they can offer you that will help you on your journey to make your battles a little bit easier. Because while you live, you'll have to have battles. Some people have more battles than others. That's just life. But when you have them, all the tools that you have available for that battle will only help you. It won't hurt you. And that's all I got. So yes, again, follow the show on Twitter at KIRWKC. Follow on Instagram, KIRWKC. You can listen to the podcast at KIRWKC.com. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I thank each and every one of you for listening and watching. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Be blessed.